Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? Just entered into a dimension of random geekiness. And let me just make sure that the microphone is working. Check 1 2, check, check, check 1 2. Yeah, the mic sounds nice. How's everybody doing? First and foremost, I want to thank all of my viewers, all of my subscribers for your continued support and your viewership. It is really, really greatly appreciated. If you've been following me, you know what's going on. There's a lot going on in my life and everybody's life and in my executive producer's life. And it's been kind of hard physically and emotionally to produce anything, to make any other shows. I know people have been missing Monthly Blaster. You've been missing X XONE Micro. And once again, I started finding myself getting torn and tired. So I'm working on something that will consolidate all those things into one show. Maybe Monthly Blaster may return. I'm not sure. I don't know if Micro is going to return. I don't know. Maybe it might return in some kind of capacity. But those shows are going to be kind of preempted for a little while until I figure out what I'm going to do. But what we do have to look forward to is the HB Gibson show, which is basically going to be a show that's going to consolidate everything into one show. So that's probably what we're going to wind up doing with that. We're going to find a way to consolidate all the stuff that is on the X XONE into one show, the HB Gibson show. So that's what I'm working on right now. So let's get into it. But before I do that, I am going to go live on Facebook for a little bit. What I decided to do was I'm going to be doing live on Facebook a lot less because my Facebook family, let's just say, like, if you're going to do a show, Facebook and your friends and your family, although they love you and they support you, the people that you would think should be on with you, it's just, let's just say it's questionable. So like when you're doing a YouTube show, you want to go out. You want to go out into the YouTube world. You don't keep yourself in Facebook land, because Facebook land has your friends, has your family and everything. So and they know you. So they're used to the things that you do. So they might, it's not that they don't want to support you, but it's just that, they're kind of used to you. But so when I start doing more stuff on Facebook, they'll just say, oh, he's going to be on Facebook. I don't have to go to his YouTube channel, but we're going to fix that. So we're going to fix that in just a jiffy right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go live on Facebook, but it's only going to be for a limited time. I'm going to cut it off at a certain point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off when it's time for me to actually review the trailer. So let's see if we can get some people to come in. Star Wars trailer talk, and then we'll pull the rug up from up under them. Okay. So if you're watching this, if you're watching this and and it's not live, thank you for taking the time to watch it. I really do appreciate it, because we really got to talk about this, because this trailer, I'll tell you, it tore me into so many different directions. So here we go. We're going to go live in 3, 2, 1 on Facebook now. All right, so we're going to wait for us to go up on Facebook in 3, 2, 1. And we're just going to keep on going. And when they join me, they'll join me. If people don't join me, they don't join me. Okay, so what's what we're going to do? First of all, before we actually talk about the trailer, we're going to talk about, first of all, now, if you're watching me on Facebook right now, I was on YouTube and I'm still on YouTube. I started off on YouTube. I came on to Facebook just so that y'all can get a little bit of something. But let's just say that I'm going to pull the rug from up under y'all after. You got to go to my YouTube channel to actually get the meaty stuff. But what we're going to do is hey, Lou, how you doing, man? What's going on, Zach? What's happening? First, before we go into the actual review, all right, the actual review and actually talk about the trailer, let's talk about the reaction of everybody else first. All right. There are all these YouTubers out there that have shows, and their main thing is Star Wars. I watch their shows. I watch Geeks and Gamers. I watch Anna, the Star Wars girl. I watch a whole. There's some other folks whose names that don't come to mind at the moment. But of course, you guys know I'm a big fan of John Campea, and John Campea is a huge Star Wars fan. He talks Star Wars all the time. I love their shows. I really do. But then you start to see the differences between the fandom, and we're going to get into that. A lot of these YouTubers are young YouTubers whose parents probably brought them on board with Star Wars, probably. And they wound up having their own shows. Their parents probably showed them the trilogy when they were kids, on DVD and everything. And they were also brought up during the prequel era. These young people grew up on the prequels. This next generation grew up on the prequels. All right. So the parents taught them the appreciation of the original trilogy. And then when the prequels came out, they got to see the prequels in the theater, but they didn't get really, I don't think they got a chance to see the original trilogy in the theater. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But these were kids that basically grew up with the parents introducing them to the original trilogy, and going into the theaters, the prequels was what really, they really actually grew up on. Now, let's go back to the older generation of guys like me who went to go see Star Wars when he was 7 freaking years old. Okay, I know I don't look it, but then again, I do look it. I'm very old. I'm old now. I went to go see Star Wars back in 1977. I was 7 years old, guys. This was when there was no internet. Okay, there was no on demand. There was no DVD. There was no Blu-ray. There was no digital anything. The only way that you could repeatedly see Star Wars is if you actually got back in line and paid for another ticket to go in. Or if Star Wars was taken out of the theaters, you waited until the next year and you saw a commercial, returning to theaters, Star Wars, return back to a galaxy far, far away. And then, now here it is. When Star Wars first came out, it wasn't episode 4. It was just Star Wars, that opening crawl, the opening crawl that showed you, that gave you the gist of what was about to happen, where the story was. They didn't start adding, George Lucas did not start adding chapter 4 and A New Hope until it was time for them to release Empire Strikes Back. Okay, when they knew that Star Wars was a hit, and they said, okay, they can go on and make these other films, make all these other shows, all these other films, because George Lucas, as you may have heard him say many times before, he grew up on the movie serials. Like, he had to go to the movies to see Flash Gordon, and then Flash Gordon ended on a cliffhanger. Then he had to go back to the theater when the next one was released. And then you had to go back the next time when the next one was released. And you had to go, and that's how he saw his films. So then when Empire Strikes Back was going to be released, then it became episode 4, A New Hope. And then Empire Strikes Back, then Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And then then episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and so on. All right, so that was what I grew up on back in the day. Okay, later, and if there were any other adventures, we had I believe we had the comic book. I think the comic books came out like a little while later. I think maybe like 78, 79, maybe. Marvel had a series of Star Wars books, series of Star Wars comic books, and there was a novel called Han Solo at Star's End, and then there was a novel called Splinter in the Mind's Eye, which was supposed to be the sequel to Star Wars, but it didn't turn out that way. So it was just released as a novel. So that was like, that's like, I guess that's like extended universe story right there. But we, like I said, we didn't have cable. We didn't have those things. Our continued adventures in the 70s was our Star Wars action figures. We took our Star Wars action figures and we continued the adventure between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, and then from The Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi and on. Then we had the video games. Okay, the very, very first official Star Wars video game was The Empire Strikes Back, a very, very repetitious video game that was released for the Atari 2600. It was released for the Intellivision. I think it was also released for the ColecoVision. It was a very repetitious game where you took control of a snow speeder, and you had to prevent AT-AT walkers from getting to the reactor at the Rebel base on Hoth. And apparently their armor wasn't too strong for blasters, because you had to keep, you kept shooting them until they changed color. And then when they became like a real bright orange, that means that they were really, really weakened. And then you just shoot them a couple more times and then you blew them up. And then they had these exhaust ports, one in the back, one on top of the neck, one below the neck. And then it's from time to time, if depending upon what you had the game set on, as far as difficulty, there was this thing called a smart bomb that would go, that will fly out and follow you and everything. You either had to avoid it or shoot it. But that was what we had. And then we had all these other ridiculous Star Wars games like Jedi Arena. And then we had Star Wars Return of the Jedi, where you took control of the Millennium Falcon. And even in the instruction book, I don't think they even mentioned that you were actually portraying Lando Calrissian. Probably the very, very first Star Wars video game where you actually played a black person, even though you didn't see it, but you took control of the Millennium Falcon in Return of the Jedi, which was released on for the Atari 2600, created by Parker Brothers, the Parker Brothers video game company. They also brought us a very, very good port of Frogger, by the way. They also did Spider-Man. They also did 007. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyway, the young people appreciated the prequels, whereas the older guys, a lot of them were not that crazy about the prequels. All right. Now we have the younger generation, these YouTubers, ripping apart the sequel trilogy, the J.J. Abrams, the Rian Johnson, and now the J.J. Abrams again. There were some complaints about The Force Awakens. Not too many complaints about The Force Awakens. The main complaint about The Force Awakens was like it took too much from the original trilogy. Dude, Kylo Ren was trying to do what his grandfather, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, did. He was trying to one-up him. He wanted to be like his grandfather. He wanted to be as powerful as Darth Vader. He wanted to be he wanted to be like his grandfather. He wanted to be a powerful Sith like his grandfather. So he led the first order. Had a super weapon, a weapon even larger than the original Death Star. Yeah, and Han Solo said it himself. Okay, so it's bigger. In Han Solo style, okay, it's bigger. So what? It's bigger. And they went in. They destroyed the Star Killer base was what it was called, and then we were left hanging when Rey handed Luke the lightsaber. And then we waited and we waited and we waited and we waited, and we saw this wonderful trailer for The Last Jedi. And then people went to go see The Last Jedi, and that split everybody down the middle. People were hating it, calling it was uber feministic, and the handling of Luke Skywalker was awful. Trust me, I understood everything. I understood all that. I still enjoy watching it just for Star Wars sake, for visual sake. I still enjoy watching it. But that left J.J. Abrams in a pretty precarious position to try to bring this thing home. So where are we now? We now have the final trailer. Let me talk about the first trailer. The first trailer I saw, I had mixed feelings. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. That super jump that Rey did over over Kylo Ren's TIE fighter. We saw something that looked like a pirate ship that we saw Poe, Finn, and 3PO holding on for dear life, flying into battle. We saw a few things, a few images. Then the second one came, and then that controversial scene at the end of that next trailer where we saw what looked like an evil Rey. An evil Rey with a double-bladed lightsaber, which actually that image was pretty darn cool. It was pretty cool. So now we come to this. So since I have given everybody the intro to the whole thing, I'm now going to go actually into the trailer. However, ladies and gentlemen, before I do that, let me take a look at all of the comments here. Let me take a look at all the comments and let's see who's here. First and foremost, let me acknowledge everybody before I go on. Yeah, Lou, Zetfalu, how you doing? Brian W. Wolf is in the house. Edward Threed, Richard Forcenito, I'm sorry. Edward 3 said, so this is the last one of the original. What's up, Harold? Okay, well, is this the last one of the original? This is basically the end of the Skywalker saga. So the rise of Skywalker, but we're going to get into the trailer in a moment. Zetfalu said that he saw Star Wars at the Valentine Theater in the Bronx. Remember Luke calling the Millennium Falcon a piece of junk? That was the most grungy, best chip I've ever seen. I think everybody dug it. Everybody dug it. But Han Solo was like, he said, hey, it makes a third pass light speed. Kenneth Meacham, how you doing, Kenneth? How you doing, man? Dark Horse did some Star Wars comics too. They had Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and then you have Star Wars Rebels, Empire Strikes Back, and then we had the old costumes too. That's very true. The hottest Star Wars game was the one for GameCube. I have to agree with that. Ralph Lake is in the house. Joe Penny is in the house. David C. Grubb is in the house. And the red armed C-3PO that we saw in The Last Jedi. And Michael Armstrong, what's up? Guess what, Michael? I already wrote it. Hopefully I'll be able to film it tonight or tomorrow. There's just been a lot of things going on, but I finally wrote the review to your comic book, and the video is going to be hot, man. The video is going to be hot. Trust me, you're going to like it. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to end it here for the people on Facebook, okay? Because I want people to go to the live streaming on YouTube. So if you go down my wall, just click on the link. It'll take you to my YouTube page and you can see the rest of this broadcast. So for now, my Facebook family, please follow me to YouTube, okay? And we're going to be doing this in 3, 2, 1. I'll see you on YouTube if you want to see the rest. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to continue this, ladies and gentlemen, on YouTube. Hey, Michael West is in the house. Rouge Rose is in the house. I see 3 people here in the house. So, yeah, I can't be giving all my goods to Facebook. Come on now. Really? Seriously? Duh. All right, so let's do it. Let's talk about it. The trailer for Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Was that Endor? Was it Endor? Was that where Rey was running? Was she being trained by Luke Skywalker? We don't really know what's going on, and that's one thing that I'm going to talk about as far as the trailer itself. We didn't really get a whole lot, you know. we see that the story is continuing, but what's going on? What's happening? And of course, there's a lot of theories, a lot of leaked stories and everything that I didn't look. I'm not going to spoil it for myself. And if you were wise, you wouldn't spoil it for yourself either. So let's move it on down. So how did pieces of the Death Star survive? Did they crash on Endor? Did they crash on another planet? I mean, these are full-size pieces of the Death Star. And when the Death Star blew up, it blew up. Why are there pieces of the Death Star around? I don't know. But you know what? It's a movie. It's sci-fi. People need to stop overthinking it. Let's just move on. Okay, so as you saw in the Millennium Falcon had its round radar dish, the original round radar dish. I know a lot of people were very kind of picky, traditionalists of Star Wars. They wanted to see that round radar dish back on the Millennium Falcon. Well, I guess J.J. Abrams heard you, because it's back. The square radar dish out the window. They put the round radar dish. Now it looks more like the Millennium Falcon that we all know and love. Okay. All right. So Lando Calrissian, of course, is in it. In this particular trailer, we saw him briefly in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. We also saw him in the center of the crowd of what could be the rebels and the resistance. And if you remember, at the end of The Last Jedi, Princess Leia, General Leia, the late great Carrie Fisher, she was hopeful that there were other people out there that were willing to join the resistance and fight against the First Order. So I don't remember the exact words that she said, but she was hopeful of it, and that there had to be other people out there that were willing to join the cause, and obviously they did. And that big scene, that scene where the Millennium Falcon was at the center of the screen and all those other ships around, was it me, or did we see Hera's ship? Now I'm talking about Hera from Star Wars Rebels. Did we see the ghost? Could we see live action versions of the animated characters from Rebels? I wouldn't mind. I would love to see Hera. I would love to see Ezra. I guess a much older Ezra. I guess I'm guessing. I would love to see an older Sabine Wren. I would love to see that. I mean, yeah, bring them, but ease them in. Don't slam them in. Hopefully if they are there, maybe they're eased in. Not jarring in a jarring way, but in a natural way, and make sure that it serves the narrative of the film. But I would not mind seeing the characters from Rebels, because I enjoyed Rebels. Star Wars Resistance, yeah, I could not get through the first episode, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so that beautiful shot of Rey and Chewie in the cockpit, followed by Finn and Poe. Excuse me for a second. Hey, Rafi Lake, what's going on, man? Hello to everybody that's watching. Thank you. If you followed me over from Facebook, you're true stars. I truly appreciate it, because we're getting in this. And I'm sorry that this is not a trailer reaction. I really, really apologize if it's not a trailer reaction. I just haven't had the time, and my computer is nearing its end. I can't download any more videos because for some reason, I got rid of everything, y'all. I got rid of music, videos, and everything, and it's still saying that I don't have enough disk space and everything. So as my executive producer said, she gave me the go ahead, get a new computer, which I'm going to get maybe in a few weeks. So that's another reason why you didn't really see too much produced videos, actually. So let's keep on moving. That shot with Rey, Finn, Poe, and Chewbacca all in the cockpit. Woo! Woo! That was a nice scene, because I just to see all the heroes together, and it's almost reminiscent of Return of the Jedi. If you remember Return of the Jedi, when Han and Chewie and Luke and the droids and some other rebel soldiers were in the Imperial shuttle, the Tantive 4. Seeing them all together and everything was like, seeing family again. So I kind of got the feels with that. I kind of got a little bit of the feels with that when they were all in the cockpit together. Rey, Finn, Poe, and Chewie. Now, Leia, as we know, we lost, and it's interesting. And my executive producer, the love of my life, Rouge Rose, brought it to my attention that this trailer was released pretty much to, I think today is Carrie Fisher's birthday, is it not? I believe. But a wonderful way to celebrate the legacy of Carrie Fisher. And from what I understand, on the poster of The Rise of Skywalker, Carrie Fisher got top billing. You can turn on the waterworks because I'm choking up too. Carrie Fisher and then Mark Hamill, they both got top billing, and then we had all the other acters that were on there, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and Poe. I forget Poe, the actor that plays Poe at the moment. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. So that scene, Leia, that one scene, they used all the footage that they did not use for the Force Awakens, and JJ was somehow managed to link it in and make it narratively, cohesive to what went on in The Last Jedi, and was able to link it together, put it together, and was able to put that in there and make it fit somehow. And that got to my chest. It really did. Now, how is Palpatine alive? Okay, Palpatine. There's a lot of theories about Palpatine. And I discussed this with Rouge the other day, or I think, or either today or yesterday. I told her, I said, if you remember from Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine told Anakin, the dark side is the pathway to many abilities some believe to be unnatural. All right? The dark side of the Force is a very seductively powerful thing. And there is a reason. There's many, but there is a reason, or many reasons, why the Jedi try to pull people away from the dark side. Because if you mastered the dark side, you could do some serious ish. Okay, you could do things that many people cannot do, and probably things that they should not do in regards to the balance of the Force. So if however Palpatine survived, because we all saw him fall into the reactor and go like that. We saw it. We saw Vader pick up Emperor Palpatine, throw him into the reactor at the bottom, and he went. Okay. Oscar Isaac. Thank you, man. Thank you, Mr. Lake. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron. Thank you so much. Sometimes I get the rolling and everything, and I forget stuff. That's age. So that's how he survived. Maybe we saw the Super Star Destroyer go head first into the Death Star before it blew up. So by the way it blew up, everything looked like it evaporated. But as I said, this is sci-fi. This is the movies. You never know. Okay, so however the reason why the pieces of the Death Star survived, however Palpatine survived, I don't know. I have no idea. I do not know. But hopefully it'll be explained once we go see the movie in December. Let's move on. We see the return of Rose Tico. Yes, we see the return of Rose Tico. And actually, to tell you the truth, I'm glad Rose Tico is back, because it's a slap in the face to all those people that gave her a hard time, and she had to close her Twitter or her Instagram account because people hated her character. I didn't find anything really wrong with her character, but I saw what other people felt was wrong with her character. I didn't have an issue with it. I really didn't. But so Rose Tico is back. And then we see the battle between Rey and Kylo Ren. So, and this is where we talk about narrative, and I think I'm going to skip down to the overall trailer and the different points. We're going to talk about marketing first of all. On a marketing level, the trailer didn't do it, not on a marketing level at all, because if you remember any of the other original Star Wars trailers, like the original trilogy from or the prequels, there was interaction between characters that kind of gave you a little clue. It gave you a little taste of what to expect in this movie. The banter between Anakin and Palpatine in Star Wars, the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. Anakin was like, "Is it possible to learn this power?" And Palpatine looked at him and said, "Not from a Jedi." You were like, oh, so now you're seeing the seduction of Anakin Skywalker. But we knew this was going to happen, but we saw the seduction of Anakin Skywalker, going in that direction. If you remember the wonderful trailer for The Empire Strikes Back, where there was a lot of dialogue, and the one dialogue that really stood out that gave people an idea of what to expect was when Luke faced off against Darth Vader in the carbonite room, and Vader said, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you're not a Jedi yet." And that sent shockwaves throughout the entire Star Wars fandom. We were like, what in the whoa is he? I think Luke is in a little bit over his head. The visuals that we got from the Empire Strikes Back trailer, we knew something. It didn't feel very good. It looked pretty. The heroes looked like they were up against something. They looked like they were kind of like, they called it Empire Strikes Back, and then of course it ended on a cliffhanger. Luke found out that Vader was his father. Han got frozen and captured by the bounty hunter, being taken to Jabba the Hutt. God knows what Jabba the Hutt is going to do to Han. All right. What do we do? What are they going to do? We were left. We got the narrative. We got the plot. We understood, and then when Return of the Jedi came and we saw the door open up and we saw Luke and Vader standing next to each other. Pardon my language, but that was the oh shit moment. Pardon my language. I hate to say it, but sometimes you got to say it like that. It was the oh shit moment. We were like, yo, okay. Did he accept the fact that Vader was his father? What's going on? What's happening? Who are these Ewoks? Oh, Han Solo's back? Cool. Yeah. We knew what to expect, but we didn't expect the ending. We didn't know what the ending was. We didn't know if Luke was going to win or not. But we got a brief look at to what may happen. And that's what made us want to go see Return of the Jedi as well. What they did not do with this trailer was give enough dialogue to make people say, oh, snap. Or pardon my language, there was no oh shit moment. Like I said, I'm sorry about the language, but that's the only way that I could beef it up and give it the punch that it needs so that people will understand what I'm saying. There was no oh shit moment. But, and here it is. The music, the soundtrack, the way they slowed down the Star Wars theme and made it very emotional, seeing all the characters, you actually felt like, yo, this is an end of an era. And then when 3PO said what he said, Poe was like, what are you doing there, 3PO? He said, I just want to look at my friends one last time. All this time, 3PO was like the butt of the joke. He was comedy relief and everything. This time, you actually felt for 3PO. Now, we don't know what's going to happen to 3PO. Are they going to kill 3PO? We don't know. All we know is that from the last trailer, we saw 3PO with red eyes. Apparently, his programming is being changed. We don't know. We don't know anything. But that was the only piece of interaction that we got between characters. But it was such a gut punch. And I looked at 3PO in a whole new way. And I choked up. And ladies and gentlemen, upon watching the video a third time, I cried. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because everything that I loved from 7 years old is coming into a full circle with episode 9. And it could not have been easy for J.J. Abrams. And I have to applaud him. JJ. I have to give it to you, Mr. Abrams. That, and by the way people are so nasty online, by the way some of these, I hate to say it, these little Star Wars critter fans. When I say critter fans, I mean these young people that think that they know it all, you know, and everything has to make sense to them, you know, and this, that, and the third. You're the one that's going to bring it home, okay? I know that we've heard stories about reshoots happening with the Rise of Skywalker, but reshoots happen all the time, all the way back to the early days of film. Reshoots happen, so it's nothing to worry about. So yeah, the overall feeling as a Star Wars fan, after everything that I've seen, the original trilogy, the prequels, the animated series, the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, which had a lot of emotion in it, you know, Rogue One, Solo, even the Star Wars Holiday Special with that little animated segment in it where we first saw Boba Fett. I felt that in this trailer, that it's all coming to an end. Now, does that mean that there's going to be no more Star Wars movies? I would hope that they would wait a little while before they do that. And some time ago, I put up a poll that said, do you think that at this point, Star Wars would do better on television, or would they still do well in the movies? And I believe there was an equal split. I believe there was like an equal 50-50 split, that people thought that, you know, it would do well on television, it would do well in the movies. Disney Plus, the streaming service, has a Star Wars series ready to go called The Mandalorian, which I'm sure everybody's going to be looking forward to, because there was rumors, you know, talking about there was going to be a Boba Fett movie and there was going to be a Boba Fett TV series. So they removed Boba Fett altogether and gave us a brand new Mandalorian who's supposed to be really, really badass. And the trailer looks really, really fantastic. I mean, and people are saying good things about it already. Also, we have the Rogue One miniseries, and Diego Luna is going to be reprising his role as Captain Cassian Andor, and also David Tudyk, who plays Mr. Nobody in Doom Patrol. He's reprising his role as my favorite droid of all time, K2SO. He's coming back. But of course, this is going to be a mini series, and this is going to be all about what happened before the events that happened in the Rogue One movie. So this was way before he meets Jyn Erso, way before that. So also, we also know that Ewan McGregor is going to be playing Obi-Wan Kenobi in an Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series. for Disney Plus streaming service. So we have that to look forward to. We have, I'm sure we have other Star Wars animated films, animated television series, other live action shows. All the Star Wars films are going to be available on the Disney Plus streaming service. All the Marvel stuff is going to be available on the streaming service. From what I understand, the streaming service itself is pretty inexpensive. I think last I heard it was $7.99 a month. Wow, what you can get for $7.99 a month, that's amazing. But anyway, we do have that to look forward to. And there's a theory that releasing The Mandalorian just before Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is supposed to be some kind of a distraction for Star Wars fans, just in case they, have a bad taste in their mouth before they go see, Rise of Skywalker, because they're really anticipating the fact that people are going to hate it. And, I'm going to go in there with an open mind, like I always do. You don't really see me ripping up too many movies. I don't, there's rarely movies that I hate. There's some movies that I might prize a little bit higher than others, but I rarely hate anything. So all we can do is just sit back and wait and relax and wait until December the 20th. I will probably be seeing it with Rouge when I come back to visit Jersey around Christmas time. So I'll be with her on Christmas Eve. Maybe we'll take a Christmas Eve show. I don't know. Because from what I understand, people are buying tickets to this, like advanced tickets and everything online. But from what I understand, it's not going as fast as people thought it would. So I'm going to keep you abreast of that. I'm going to keep you, I'll keep the news. I'll let you know what's going on. Okay. So if I hear anything else about how the tickets are selling, I'll get back to you. Or if you know if the tickets are selling, let me know. I mean, you're watching me live. Do me a favor. Do a little research for me. Find out, are the tickets really selling? Because they started selling advanced tickets to Rise of Skywalker as of today. Like I said, from what I understand, it hasn't been selling that great, but I could be wrong. Help your boy out, hook your boy up, and I'll give you a shout out on the show. All right, but listen, that's it. If you know of anything else, if you have any more information that you want to share with me, please do put the comments below the video. And thank you so much for joining me today. I had a long day, y'all, and I still got to get on the treadmill before I go to bed. I love y'all to life. You've been watching the X Zone. You just spent a little time in a dimension of random geekiness. I'm HB Gibson, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.